So building teams is incredibly important in the context of any company because ultimately you have two things that define a company. It's your team and the money you have to use. And the first one being way more important than the second. What we're really doing at Valo is we're building a technology company that happens to express itself in the pharmaceutical industry, in the therapeutics world. And in that context, we said, how do we take the best practices of technology and deploy them in a field that's been recalcitrant to that kind of innovation? So what we did was we forced ourselves to build a team that's right at that interface of technology and life sciences. And we created a framework that allows us to bring these two fields together. And I like to shorthand it, right? Which is the abbreviation API is a really important abbreviation for software coders or software practitioners, as it is for drug developers. But it doesn't mean the same thing. And it's in that way we need to force ourselves to actually build a language. Now, I would say, on one hand, yes, we've been focused on how we can bring together technology and life sciences, and our company at every level is built right at that intersection. But it's more than that. We also have to build a new language, and we've been dedicated to that, really thinking about what is the crux of the innovation? How can we get these different styles of thought to come together? And I'll give you one example of this. One of the things we're very keen on is how we stand up, how we deploy, how we focus on a flywheel. Now, of course, in the context of Amazon has well published its flywheel architecture around how it can ultimately lower costs, improve customer experience. And that has helped to create Amazon into a very powerful force that gives consumers what they want when we want. Right. And we might complain that we said, oh, it's 2 days shipping and it came on day 3. But the reality is everyone goes back to Amazon over and over because they've built this framework of scale that's very, very powerful. And they do have a consumer centricity that's really important. We've tried to take a very similar logic of how we think about data as driving our flywheel. And ultimately what we're delivering is something for the benefit of the patient. So when we take those as a framework, what it causes us to do is create data unification in different ways than others have, to think about every form that we capture data, to think about how we can bring data together to go beyond just a single program, to think about it across the life cycle of where our company is going to go. And it's in that context that we need people who are willing to step out of their comfort zone to say, okay, I have a lifelong experience in thinking about developing drugs program by program. How do I think about it en masse? And even outside of the area that I work on, as one example, how do I think about data, right? And at the same time, having people in the technology world who are used to very rapid cycling, think about things that intrinsically move a little bit slower and the intentionality that we can bring to it to actually bring it a bit more to a technology like substrate.